Welcome to Intentionally FinTech, the show where we dive deep behind the purpose of your favorite or emerging fintech brands. I'm your host today, Michael Phillips, the CEO and founder of a purpose-driven branding agency called Behost. After 7 years in the creative industry and after an unfortunate wake-up call in late January, I have made it my mission to help founders do what inspires them most. On this show, we're going to be diving deep behind the mission, stories, and purpose of your favorite or emerging fintech brands, the values that drive their day-to-day work, and just how exactly clarity of purpose helps them navigate this otherwise cluttered environment. My guest for today is Vanana Andrea. He is the founder of TL Cash. They are a very versatile fintech, and I'm afraid I won't be able to do them enough justice if I do the introduction myself. So, Andrea, I would like to pass the microphone to you. Tell us what you do a little bit, what your
Thank
company
you.
does.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. So basically, in short, what we produce is what we define a human-centered treasury tool, which means that we really want to put human being at the center of the usage of this tool. And what does the tool do? The tool automates entirely treasury from the start of the day to the end of the day, from cash flow forecasting to reporting at the end of the day. I can explain that in more details maybe afterwards, if there is any chance.
Of course. Well, I'm sure that the people interested at home would like to know a little bit more details. If you could briefly walk us into that, that would be perfect.
Sure. So maybe, again, for sake of brevity, let's say that we do four main things. One is we use machine learning, artificial intelligence to manage cash flow forecasting. This gives him important directions and solutions to problems that recur. Then second, we solve what in jargon is called treasury position. So every day a treasurer looks at data points, internal data points and external data points like market data points, and then they take decisions on what they should be doing in order to manage treasury that day, given those informations. Well, that is done by the machine itself, by Cash platform. And then thirdly, after they took a decision that they have to do it. So they have to either pick up the phone in less advanced treasury organizations or use a platform to deal derivatives or to transfer money from point A to point B. That is done as well automatically by our platform. And then fourthly, we have what we call dynamic reporting, which is a set of rules that the treasurer or the treasury team can set and define as they please in order to produce the snapshot of the information that they want to have for themselves, for the senior managers, for the board of directors, as an example, for auditors, internal, external. And those reports, they dynamically adjust themselves based on what the treasurer or the treasury team is doing with the machine itself.
I understand that's a very versatile fintech indeed. And
It
it's
is.
a
Thank you.
unique one. We haven't had anyone that does precisely this for their customers. So it's a very unique point of view to explore today. Okay, well, we
Thank
talked
you.
about what you do and what your company does, but this is Intentionally FinTech. So we're here to talk about your intention, your why. So allow me to shift the spotlight onto you, Andrea.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. What made you want to build Cash, Cash? What was the moment where it all clicked?
Yeah. So maybe there was not a moment, but there were a few moments. So first of all, in my experience, I did work as a treasurer or as a member of a treasury team in my past for 15 years, more or less. And then the other 10 or so, I worked in banking, but with the objective as a leader of a team who was supposed to help treasurers to transform their treasury. So I work with a lot of multinational companies. So what I can tell you is that when I was in treasury myself, I saw lots of problems that were not solved. Yet I thought that those problems were not solved because of process issues, organization, and things like that. And when I jumped into banking and worked as a leader of this team and worked with more than 100 projects, I would say, I started realizing that the gap was in the technology being applied. And one of the big asks from these treasurers was, Andrea, please help us understanding where treasury is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. And there I started to envisage and see and visualize what is Cash right now. So maybe it was just a result of a process, a result of experiences that I lived that brought me to the idea, and then the creation of the tool itself. That I clearly didn't create myself alone. I had the starting idea, then I joined a proper team, my co-founders, who contributed clearly a lot to the creation of that. Actually, equally contributed
Definitely.
to the creation of that.
All right. You mentioned there was the gap in technology. Now, when it comes to starting a company, I've noticed there's two main trends. You either have a purpose which you want to share uh, to the world. For an example, like in my case, I want to help founders or inspire them to do what inspires them most. And also, there is the gap. How many people do that? So I want to ask you, Andrea, which one was it stronger for you, the gap in the technology that you found for 2Cash? Or was it your personal mission? And if it was that personal mission, what was that actually?
Yeah, that is a bit of a difficult one for me. I have to think it through in the sense that, so for sure, even when I was always driven by trying to do things at best. Then whether I succeeded in that is another point, but I always tried to do that. And in Treasury, when I was doing Treasury myself, I always tried to be very precise in the decisions and in the execution of those decisions. And by the way, for a human being, which is as well the foundation of Tukesh, for a human being, it's impossible to do that. Too many calculations, too many data points to be considered at the same time to make a proper decision. It's very difficult maximization or minimization problems to be solved that a human being cannot, while the machine can. However, I always try to solve closer to, let's say, the optimal point. And when I was instead working for other companies, my true objective was them to succeed with their new treasury organization that I helped creating, or I helped giving direction for them to create. So I would say that probably the strongest is the mission or the desire for Treasury to really succeed and add the value that they can add to any company. And then the realization that because there is a gap, then maybe we can fill that gap. I think that happened secondly.
I'm super happy to hear that it was the case for 2Cash. And in that light, I would like to introduce to you a framework if you're okay with that. It's something I
Please.
do with every single guest on the podcast. It
Uh-huh.
helps us understand a little bit how purpose is important in this whole thing.
Yeah, show
So
me.
let me know if you can see this clearly.
Not very
So,
clearly, but I see a target, a bullseye.
okay. So in the center here, we
Is the
have
why. Mm-hmm.
it's the why, how, and what. So let me walk you through this. So in the setting, we have why. Why did we start this business to begin with? And I'll give myself as an example, and I'll walk you through this. And then at the end, my goal is to create something for 2Cash, which follows this framework. Do you agree with that?
I
We will
agree.
make it together on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Let's do that.
Okay. So the why, my
We are
why at
happy to take any help we can.
Great. That's the first thing of actually being successful is being coachable. So the first thing here is why. Why did I start this business? When it comes to Behold, and to me as a person, Michael, I believe that companies are not doing necessarily what inspires them. They just follow trends. They just follow people blindly, but they're not true to themselves. And this gets them stuck in competition. My why, I exist to help founders do what inspires them most so that they don't have to brush up with burnout or even death like I did, as our viewers already know on this podcast, to find their purpose and to weaponize it in such a way that they're no longer competing anymore. They're in a vertical of one. How am I different? Well, I've created based on these diagrams, which I need to give credit to Simon Sinek for, a branding principle called Ella branding. It's something we do at the host that helps founders identify their purpose and weaponize it into a proper asset that not only commands trust but inspires it. And also through my first-hand experience as being a creative and having to look for purpose myself. And what we finally do, one of the what's to my whys is this podcast. The other one is the brand operations I do at my agency. So this is the target thing that you just saw. This we will discuss. Let's do this now also.
Okay.
So now we have this, right? Well, I kind of lied to you when I showed you the
Yes,
stars
yes.
right here, because this is not a circle. It's actually a cone seen from the top. At the top is you, your why, right? Your mission. At the bottom here we have, or at the middle we have the management's how, and at the bottom it's the what. And here there's a continuation, but I ran out of paper space. It's the market. So your job as a founder is to be positioned on top of here and to properly state your why. And then the management understands how to bring your why to life, how to bring your mission to life. And finally, the employees work on the what itself, on the product. So if you communicate it clearly downwards, think of this as a megaphone or as like a cone you yell in. If you communicate your why clearly from the top to the bottom, you have what you call an authentic company. And if the people at the what level, the employees, understand the mission, they know why they're doing what they're doing, then the market here will also. And then you will be inspiring the customers themselves to buy from you. You're no longer competing at that point. You're attracting the right customer, which believes the same thing you believe. And a good example of this is I've communicated my why very clearly to you and to the other guests, and you guys came on. That's literally what it comes down to. So I wanted to do a little bit of an exercise with you today, and let's see if we can to build something like this for Tucash.
Yeah.
Shall we try?
Let's try.
Okay, this is going to be a little bit upfront for me because I don't really take notes. But let's see. So your why.
Mhm.
Well, you mentioned a lot that Treasury is, from your perspective, a very important pillar of what companies should do, and efficiency in this sector means success. So you believe that companies being able to properly manage their treasury systems and to properly view their resources of cash and exactly how their accounts are split and where their investments are and all these assets is a very important piece of knowledge. And without this, you do believe that failure is imminent or something. That's what I understood from you.
Yeah, maybe if I
You're
can just clarify
definitely.
that. It's not a failure is underway, but there is a risk, a high risk that the business can be negatively affected by that.
Oh, right. Okay, then let us rephrase. You believe, or let's use first person, and then at the end I'll ask you if I struck a chord with what I said. So we believe, and I'm talking from the Tucash perspective, that treasury is the most important function in a company, and improper management of treasury will negatively affect your business. Thus, at Tucash, through our leverage of AI solutions and through our first-hand experience in the treasury and banking industries, we have created this centralized and very versatile platform that allows you to properly manage your treasury and your assets such that you will not only succeed, but you will weaponize them into a, shall we say, a key competitive advantage giving resource?
Yeah, that is
That's
correct.
what I got from you. Let me know
Yeah,
if I got that a bit right.
yeah, we're not there yet, but yeah, I have
Right.
a slightly different version of that.
Definitely. Perfect. Well, what I would do is at the end of the podcast, I will generate something like this for you, just from a past guest from Ziplo.
Yeah.
And I will refine these here, such because I need to write them down and to work my magic around those. But this was just something off the top of my head, and
Yeah.
I hope I struck a chord a little bit with that.
You are definitely on the right path. Maybe you used words that I would have slightly changed. Let me know if you want me to do that for you,
You
or
can
let
do
you do
this, of
that.
course. This
So,
is a
so
collaborative thing.
yeah. So surely I wouldn't say the most important function, but it's an important function
Okay.
whose efficiency can support the generation of margin and the growth of the underlying business, and whose inefficiency can jeopardize the margin creation and the growth creation of the business.
All right. Well, I can't be right 100% of the times.
Mm.
Let's move on. We discussed about your why, which touched upon your why. How does this actually show up in your day-to-day work? How do the employees feel it? How do the management team feel it? How do your stakeholders feel it overall?
Yeah. So see, while you were explaining to me the cone diagram, which I couldn't agree more with that representation. See, the complexity in a startup is that uh, I'm basically fitting all those three levels. I'm one of the founders. I have the vision, but at the same time, I'm part of the management, and sometimes I am an employee that does things. So for me, it's reasonably easy to jump from one position into another, and for my co-founders, it is as well. But for other team members, it is sometimes difficult when we ask them, as of now, you are management. Well, as of now, consider yourself an employee. You're doing it. Like if you had the chance to have someone that reports into you and that could execute that direction. While unfortunately we are a small team, we are still a small team, and I think that we will keep being lean for a long time because I see the success in that organization. But yeah, that's the difficulty. So back to your question after these clarification, I would say that on a daily basis, we because of the size of the team, we don't lose the vision. So it's very clear to us what we want, very, very clear to us what we want to do. Then the way we do it, the good thing again is we can adapt very quickly. We are following a way, then we realize that that way is wrong. We have to choose another one because we see that probably there are higher chances to realize part of that vision. Then we go the other direction very quickly, immediately.
I understand. That's actually the biggest advantage a small company has when it comes to everything. The founder is very, very, very involved. And the thing is, when you start growing, that's when issues and divisions start happening, and we have what we call mission drift in the industry, where the founder had a vision, but then the management misunderstood it, and now they're just not doing what they planned on to do from the beginning. And look at Uber for an example. It's really documented in branding journals and business journals that what they're doing right now isn't their original mission anymore. And that's due to the founders exiting the business. So that's where these frameworks actually come in. You build up and you help propagate that mission so that anyone that will replace you in the future, when you want to exit and you want to go to enjoy your Mai Tai in Hawaii, they would be able to carry on the mission, carry on
Yeah.
the torch.
And as of now, we have no intention to do so.
I know.
So we have an intention maybe to reduce our commitment to the company, but never to leave the company, even if it becomes, a unicorn. We have
I admire
not
that.
an intention because we know that it's going to take time to do what we want to do. And in order
Definitely.
for create that circle where virtual circle where the brand sells for himself because the clients are knocking at our door, it's going to take some time because it's a completely paradigm shift in the way Treasury is managed, what we are offering. Now, I didn't get into the details of that, but it's really different.
Right, I understand. Well, I admire you that you don't want to exit because the dream of the founder is, get the unicorn and exit and start something else. But I really like
Yeah,
when I see purpose-driven founders and they're really taking care of their business like it's their little baby, which it is at the end of the
it
day.
is. And then, Michael, do consider the fact that I am 50, so I don't think that I have the strength or the time to generate another startup, even if I wish.
Oh, come on, Andrea, don't be like that. Okay. Well, we touched about your why, and we discussed about it and how it reflects in your business. But I want to touch a little bit regulation because we all know fintech is all about the red tape, is all about the fence you need to be within. So I want to ask you, do you have problems trying to adapt your why to the regulation in your current vertical in fintech?
No, not really. Not really, because we are. So when and if there is a need for a certain activity to be regulated, we are partnering with someone who meets those requirements for those services. So we partner or acquire those services from them and embed them into our platform. And then for the rest, there's no really regulation that is limiting us as of now.
I understand. Well, that's a first one on Intentionally FinTech. Moving on. Well,
No, why
you
I
know,
haven't said that we didn't have any hiccups, but we found that solution that is better addressed that way instead of something else for now,
I
at least.
understand completely. I understand completely. Well, we talked about regulation and how you overcame that by outsourcing to the proper parties. Let's talk about investment because every single startup, especially in fintech, you need to raise money in order to
Yeah.
make your vision come true. So my question to you is, do you think investors can tell when a fintech really stands for something?
See, that is another issue that I'm seeing. Uh, as of now, we raised capital through angel investors, and as you know, they usually invest on the people, mainly maybe the idea, but it's basically the people. They trust me. They trust me as a treasury professional, so they say, okay, if he has this idea, it could go well, probably, and he has all intention to make it working properly. Then we got some free money from a grant. Actually, we just won it very recently, so
Congratulations.
which is very good. Um, and see, explaining to investors even what treasury is a problem. They keep asking me, but yes, Andrea, what is your run rate? What is your market? What is your market or reference? Which kind of companies you are targeting? Without even trying to understand what we are doing. Because if they were understanding what the market is offering with respect to and how big the market is already, with respect to what we try to offer, it's a no-brainer to me. If you are a treasury, it's a no-brainer. It's better to use that instead of something else. And in fact, any conversation I'm having with treasurers, that's the answer. Then is a different matter, the fact that they can adopt it. It's another game. However, it's immediately recognized as a game changer. But it's not so easy to explain that to the investor, at least that we came across. And I understand that they are analyzing so many ideas and projects, and of course they have to drill them down into a framework that they know well, that they compare apples with pears in a balanced way. So I completely understand that, but I would like a greater involvement from them, at least in really understanding what treasury is.
All right. Well, let me tell you a story, actually. It's still connected to what we discussed, the framework. Because from what I've seen in fintech, my work and the guests I've had here, and my personal connections with the fintech world, is that clarity is a very big issue. Meaning we have this product, it's very complex, and how do we translate it into words that are easy to grasp? And to give you a parallel, I can talk about branding, for an example, all day, but if I don't simplify it with drawings, we would probably have a hard time having this conversation. So what I've seen helps, especially with the startups I've worked with, is if they adopt that framework, they start with the why, they move how they're different and to what they do, and somehow, somewhere in the brain, something clicks. And I can explain why also if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I omitted to say that this was the situation before we had some help from a marketing expert that helped us drill down to few essential concepts what we do. And that surely is in the line of what what you are suggesting that we should do, maybe in a different way. But the idea is, it's a complex thing that what you're trying to explain. If you don't simplify it, no one will understand it. Very simply.
Exactly. And the thing is, the reason why I am a big adept of using this purpose, this why and why intentionally fintech is here, is because we as humans have two brains, right? It's
Yes.
one brain, but two functional brains, if you want. It's the old brain and the new brain. Well, you call the old brain the one which evolved pre-humans. It's the one which was back in the Permian, instinctual, very animal, right? And it has emotion, instinct, and nothing much left, right? But it doesn't know how to talk because language evolved in the new brain, in the rational side, where we talk, we think, and we go to the logical things. What happens is that fintech, because it's such a rational and logical vertical, people talk to the new brain. But the new brain will rationalize it, but that's not how you get the customer, or that's not how you get deeper understanding of
You,
it.
you
You
need
just
to
get
strike
someone
the old
who's
brain.
in this straggly old brain. And
Yeah.
the way you do this, and I have to give credit to Simon Sinek because he discovered this. He's a very big psychologist. And also now he did the transition to business. He said that if you want to target the old brain, you have to use this framework right here. You start with your why. Why does 2Cash exist? Why does Michael exist? Why does Andrea exist? How are we different? Finally, what we do. And like you said at the beginning of this podcast, it made sense what I presented to you. All I did was I just weaponized that framework to present what I'm doing. And this is what I encourage people to do also. And with the companies that I work with, and we implemented this, of course, depending which investor you go into, you need to personalize this, right? But generally, the framework's the same. And they have a higher success rate, mainly because it clicks. And if there's an investor in this pool of investors that they're visiting, that believes or remotely tangentially aligns with what the company believes, you already have a loyal investor who will even be with you, even if your numbers are red. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we have found a way to strike that old part of the brain for just using the same terminology you did use. It's just a slightly different business model that applied allows us to get into that mode of trust so that the person, they start trusting us, and basically after that they already bought it. It's just a matter of finding a commercial agreement.
I'm super happy that you do this under Tukash, to be honest.
But
Because
probably not in the way that you are suggesting. It seems that your way can happen in one meeting, which is quite effective, while for us it requires way more time to do that. And you never
well,
know if you can move from one meeting to second or third meeting.
yeah, that's the thing. But of course, it's just a matter of changing a couple of stuff. But let's move on.
Say a couple of
And
stuff. Yeah.
couple of stuff. But let's move on. This is my favorite question from the tech.
Tell me.
So imagine this AirPods case, talking
Yeah.
about big companies and visionaries, were a magic wand. And if I were to wave it like this, anything you would change about your business, it would change. What would you change and why?
Gosh, what would I change? What would I change? I would probably raise more money in the beginning. I would probably start a bit bigger with more functions to be added to the platform from day one. I would hire a bigger team of developers, and probably I would hire someone that uh, helps me on the treasury side, because as of now, from a treasury standpoint, I am the expert. So anything related specifically to how treasury is done has a bottleneck, which is me, and I am the CEO as well. So I'm not really I can't spend 8 hours per day on product development. My colleagues, who are one data scientist, one machine learning, artificial intelligence expert, and a lawyer and controller, apart from being friends as well, some of them became friends, some others were friends since many years. They have started to learn treasury, however, not yet at the point where they can jump in always. So basically, I would try to avoid all the bottlenecks.
I understand. Well, if I do this, I don't think much will happen, but we can
No,
only hope.
unfortunately not.
Fortunately not. But let us move on. Let's say years from now, we're also approaching the time limit of our podcast today. Let's say years from now, people are talking about Andrea, they're talking about Tukash, they're talking about you in the industry. What would you hope they say? But I'm not talking about slogans or, the average thing, something which matters to you. What would you think they would say, or what would you hope they would say?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I hope they don't just talk about me, even though for now I am the face of the company, because we need as well to make it efficient. So it can't be like three of us being here talking to you. Otherwise, it will be much more interesting. I can promise. What
It's
really
interesting
matters.
enough. Don't worry about it.
What matters to us is really what really I want us to succeed in is changing Treasury forever. I want Treasury to be changed for the better, of course, forever. I don't want to see any more people downloading data from whatever tool they're using into Excel and calculating stuff in order to choose what they have to do. No, I don't want that to see it. I don't want to see that anymore. I want them to be able to use a tool that does that for them, so that they can really use their brain and skills in order to even make what the machine is doing better for the underlying business. That's the true objective.
Wow. Okay. You have no idea what. Wow. That was perfect.
Why?
And why? Okay. So let me tell you, because you just, without telling me, you just told me your why, but it's in a different way that we discussed before. Because Tucash has nothing to do with Treasury, let me tell you. It has to do with the fact that you believe some some tasks are tedious and they don't give good enough results. So you strongly believe that numerical analysis or data grabbing or data collection and analysis is a tedious task right now, and you strongly believe that even though it's tedious, the fruits don't ripe so well. How you've addressed this why, or how are you different through your experience as a treasurer and through your experience as or through your leveraging of AI and data science, because you mentioned you have a co-founder which is an expert in that, right? This is how you're different. And finally, the what you just made this beautiful treasury platform to address the growth pains of startups which are struggling, especially in one of the core functions, treasury. So your why is literally you are addressing this big pain point of struggle and not enough ripe fruit at the end. That's how I see it right now. Does that strike a deeper chord than what I said in the beginning?
Yes, it's actually absolutely more aligned right now. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I just had to hear this. I had to hear your vision in order for me to hear it. You know, it doesn't work immediately or instant doesn't hit, but once it does, we get this. Okay. But I'm happy that we got this on air as well, although it's at the end.
And that was
Okay.
supposed to be the case, right? At the end.
Sometimes things just
Cherry on
happen.
the cake. The cherry on the cake.
Cherry on the cake, cherry on the cake. I have two more questions for you, and then we'll end this. Is that okay with you?
Of course. I'm
Okay.
actually enjoying these a lot. So
I'm happy you
I'm
do.
sorry that we only have two questions.
Don't worry about it. I mean, we can keep going if you want.
We can keep going. As long as it's good for your podcast, it's good for me.
Perfect. Okay. Let's say if more fintechs, because you're in the fintech industry, right, Andrea? If more fintechs acted with purpose, like you're doing right now, and being active at every single level of that cone I presented to you, and trying to push that mission in, and to make sure everybody gets it. If more people started with why in the fintech industry, what would you think would change? I'm not talking about being ambitious. Ambitious is good, raise this money, hit this KPI, but just be purposeful. Like you're trying to do to alleviate the pain of data science or data collection, which is fruitless.
So in your question, then you are implying that fintechs, they are not all acting with a purpose, which I am not so sure. I honestly don't know. Do they? Let's assume they don't, okay? Or partly part of them does and partly doesn't. So the part that doesn't, I mean, if it probably, my view would be that if there is no purpose underlying, you're not going anywhere. It's startup, and of course you know it, but for the people who doesn't, driving or running a startup is it's very hard. It's very hard for many reasons. And the first reason is that in the beginning, at least, very few believe in you. Very few believe in you. They may say to you that they do, but then you look them in the eyes, and if you have a little bit of body language reading, then you understand that they don't. While when you are an employee working for an established brand already, there is not that approach to you. Whomever you are talking to is talking to you because they either have a need as clients or they are suppliers. So in any case, they do technically believe in you. So then my thinking is it really possible that there is someone that jumps into a fintech startup or into the fintech world with a startup and not being driven by purpose? I don't know, I have a big question mark. But maybe some of them are really supported by big money. In that case, the solution that they develop will be just a technical solution. It's not that it's going to solve a major problem like we think that we are trying to solve. And many other big companies did solve big problems. They are solving problems. Maybe they are doing things better, but they're not trying really to change things significantly. That would be the difference. I think that if every fintech would be run with a clear purpose, then all those fintechs will significantly change the environment for
I
the
couldn't
better, I would
agree
say.
more with you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And may I share with you a story from my
Please,
VC friend?
please do.
Okay, so
Oh, good that you have VC friends. That is very
of
good.
course,
Yes,
I wouldn't be talking to fintechs if I didn't.
we should talk about that more.
Yeah, we should, right? But yeah, it actually helps me achieve what I want with my clients. I talk to them and I listen to stories. And I say, don't do this, right? But what I'm trying to say is this: there was a story, and literally it's parallel to what you just said, but it's actually a concrete example. It's like a case study of what you just said. So I have this VC friend. He's in Amsterdam, and he had this guy come over by his to raise money. I don't remember the numbers exactly or how much. I remember the idea. It was this crypto platform which would give you cards, like normal cards, and you could use to pay at your local supermarket or just use crypto in your everyday transactions. Nothing wow, at least from my perspective. I don't have crypto, so it's not wow for me, but I'm sure there's a market for it. And he came to my friend, and my friend said, okay, give your pitch. He gave the pitch. Numbers were looking good. He had performance of 5 years. The standard, the numbers looked sensible enough so that they're not fabricated. The assumptions were okay when you came to pitch. Though even the why and the purpose he wrote on the slide, because he wrote something about that also, was not inspiring, but was matching the story. But the thing is, my friend looked him in the eye and said, I'm backing out. Why was that? Because he could feel, looked in the guy, like you said, he looked in the guy's eyes and he saw that he didn't believe in himself and his purpose. He was just putting it there to get the money. So when you have people like this, yeah, I'm sure there is fintechs which run with purpose. They're my guests here on the podcast. But from what I see, not a lot of them lead with purpose. And if you don't lead with purpose, it's as if you're purposeless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe there is a purpose,
That's
which is money, but then
Yeah, that's not a purpose. Money is, what I like to say, is a consequence
it's
of
an
what we do.
enabler. Yeah, and then it's an enabler. It's
It's
not
just a
really.
consequence. It's a tool, right? But my purpose is to help, for example, founders. Yours is to help alleviate this data analysis pain. These are our purposes, right? And we work, and everything we do bears witness to our why. This podcast, to your cash, or any other project, you say you're 50, but I honestly think you're going to continue up until 120, so you have time to build new ventures. But yeah, you have to be purposeful. So that's the backing of that question, because I look at fintechs, and I'm
I
sure
see.
maybe there's a purpose behind it, but I don't see it. And if I don't see it, I'm sure the VC doesn't see it. I'm sure your client doesn't see it, not your, but like general clients. They don't see it. The stakeholders don't see it. So where's the purpose actually?
Then you know what the risk as well from an investor standpoint. If you are doing something just for the money, the moment you start realizing that you're not making that money, then it's easy to say, you know what, I'll do something else. While if you're doing
Sorry.
if you're doing something because you really believe that is the true objective, of course, you need the money. You need the money to sort of provide for yourself and your family, yes. But then I think that you will find until the end to get that that purpose fulfilled. And then maybe you fail. That's fine. But then you'll fight until the end.
Definitely. And let me tell you a story from Simon Squibb and his book, What is Your Dream? I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
He had the story of a chef.
Hmm.
It's unrelated to fintech, but it says exactly what you just said, and I just reminded myself of it. There was this chef who had the experience. He went to the best cooking school in France. He had the best skills. He had worked in restaurants with Michelin stars. So he had the backtrack and he had the experience to open his own restaurant. So he comes to Simon and he says, "This is my dream. I want to open a restaurant." Okay, fine. He gives him the money because he saw that he had a good track record. And guess what happened? He went to the restaurant, he opened it, but every single time Simon would visit to see how the business is going, the chef wasn't there. Can you guess what he was doing? You'll never guess.
No, I don't. I'm not even trying to.
He was going to take pictures of birds outside. He was doing ornithology because that was actually his dream, not being a chef. And of course, this thing got bankrupt and everything. So purpose is very important. And if you're not honest with yourself, with your purpose, and if you're not honest with others, it's not only that you drag yourself down, but you drag others down with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's in line with what you just said before that. I
Good.
love how we just
Good.
we
I'm,
just
I'm
went
happy
on.
I've been consistent. Front of my
Talking about
psychologist.
consistency, it's a very, I've seen this. It's not necessarily a standard
Mm.
in businesses. I've seen stuff not being consistent, and that's actually damaging, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But all right, Andrea. So, here on the show, we like to do one last curveball to our guests. Are you familiar with the celery test at all?
No.
Okay, let me explain what that is. So, if I were to be a health guru, right, and my job would be to get you healthy,
Yeah, I
which
need
one would
that.
you think I'd give you? I'd give you maybe some fast food, or would I actually give you
I got
a
it.
salary,
Mm-hmm.
celery, or like a salad made out of celery? Which one
Mm-hmm.
do you think would I give you?
Yeah, the latter.
Exactly. So the celery test, named after this metaphor, aims to check whether your product or your website
Mm-hmm.
would inspire the same purpose that we discussed today. So would you be down to do that with us today on the episode to check out if your product
Yeah,
says anything about your purpose?
so the website we cannot do that because it's we're renovating that.
Okay,
Maybe I can tell you a bit about the logo if you want, and then let's see if that sort of passes the test, and then I can pull up the demo of the product, and yeah, I'm happy to
sure.
show that to you.
We can do that.
Okay,
Perfect.
I share the platform, and on the platform you can see the logo. Let me see if you see it.
I can see it.
All
And
right.
if I can see it, the people at home can see it also.
Yeah. So let's look at the logo, top left. So it's
All
these
right.
bowl made of small balls. And our colors are these flashy pink on a dark blue field. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess that what we are willing to communicate with the logo is the following. So first of all is a circle, which is the perfect shape. And the perfect shape is made of small circles, other perfect shapes, which is what we are trying to offer. It's the whole platform. We are aiming perfection of that. And the platform is made of different bits and pieces, and each one of them is perfect as well. And the choice of colors, besides maybe a specific inclination towards the pink and the blue, but the effect that we are willing to create is the light of the pinkish ball, uh, in a darker space, which is the can be seen as the rest of the financial markets. So we are we are bright. That's the idea. Then to cash. Well, this is a bit of a fun thing in the sense that we are playing with words. To cash towards cash, treasury, the dollar as, but to as well is the abbreviation of the city we are at, Torino, the Italian city, TO.
Mm.
So in fact, in Italy they call it to cash, while uh, English speakers they call it more to cash. So this is it. While um, briefly about the platform, what can I tell you? So you remember I told you that there is four main activities that we do in order to help treasurers automatize and optimize their treasury. First of all, is forecasting, run by artificial intelligence. Second is solving the treasury position. Third is executing that. And fourth is the dynamic reporting. Now, we don't have time to go into the details. It will take like more than half an hour, but
Definitely.
I can briefly tell you that, let's say on artificial intelligence, here we have a screen that tells you about all the analysis that have been run on specific clusters of data. Like imagine as a payment, salaries, wages, salary, they are all clustered together. There is an analysis based on how many forecasts have been analyzed. And then the machine tells you how much they deviate in terms of um, time. In this case, the first one happened with 7 days of delay on average, or in amount, 1.25% deviation, which is quite acceptable, while the 7 days is a bit less acceptable. While on treasury position here, we analyze and solve. I think that it cannot be run, but this is the data that we have in the machine as of now. Here is the representation of the data, and then the machine solves it. Solves meaning uh, uh, runs the algorithms and the simulation telling the treasurer, listen, you gave me all this information about cash flow forecasting. Secondly, we have all this market data, currency, FX rate, interest rates, agreements that you might have for your credit lines or investment and things like that. Hence, the following things you should be doing according to your policies, which are the guidances within Treasury. And then, and by the way, sorry, I didn't clarify, but running these will take you probably 5 minutes. Running these additional 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, let's say. And then there is the execution where you have a monitor, you have a list of deals that can be executed automatically with banks. And when you hit the button execute, the machine starts doing everything. This is a bank transfer, 2 million euro, or an FX, which is a conversion, euro dollar, selling euro dollar and buying euro. And then on the right side, you see when deals are closed, which means that banks have agreed on a price. Actually, they provided a machine the price. The machine, based on the rules and criteria that the client set, the machine chose the bank to do the deal with, which, like in this, the purple one, it's Banca Intesa, so on and so forth. And then, as you can see, it's moving in seconds and it's almost done. While something like that is only 15 deals, it would have taken probably, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so to someone to handle all these on its own. Clearly, not clearly, but as well, all the deals are booked into the machine, so there is no manual input that has to be handled, and it's closed in 55 seconds. So we said 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's 35, 10 seconds, negligible. And then you have the reporting, which can be set in different ways. Now I don't even know what is showing, because it depends on what the data in the machine. But it says it tells you things about the performance, projected cash. It breaks down data in terms of banking counterparty to highlight which is the bank you are doing the most with, so that you know that you are mostly exposed with, in this case, Deutsche Bank, and so on and so forth. And yes, so basically now I ran you through very quickly, but I think that it shows the automation and the painfulness of the exercise when Treasury is run this way. It probably takes 45 minutes to run the whole day of Treasury versus the usual 7 hours on every day on a daily basis. So with the free time, then the treasurer can start parameterizing and even making better decisions for the machine, because then the person has the time to say, oh, we have done that, but we should have been done something else. Okay, next time, let me reparameterize the machine and we do something else. And that adds savings or greater yields to the customer, which is technically money not eroded to the margin.
All right. Thank you for walking me through your platform. So what I can say is the name is very suggestive to what you're trying to do. So that is a very good thing. The logo, uh, objectively it's a good logo, but what I would look to add something more towards this idea of solving pain point, because we're not trying to we're not trying to say that we are perfect. We're trying to show that we are here to solve a problem. And a good example of that is my logo Beholst, where we are purposeful, purpose-driven. We help people find their purpose, and we literally have a miniature golden circle, a miniature target in our logo with the O. So I would try to do something with that regarding the logo. The color scheme I like. It's very it's not something which I see often in fintech, and that's very good to differentiator. So congratulations on that. Indeed, the way you walk through, you've simplified stuff and it doesn't look too complicated. So from a UX perspective, you're doing a very good job, and you really emphasize the idea that you're solving this bottleneck of the companies. As for the platform itself, it looks okay. The distribution is fine. It could just be me not having my glasses, but I think the font is too small. But it could just be me not having my glasses right now, so I'm not going to say anything concerning to that.
Yeah, maybe I should have
But
adjusted the font. No,
make
because
it a
I'm
little bit
working.
bigger.
No, yeah, because I can do that, but maybe I'm using
No, don't
just the
worry
way
about
I'm
it.
used to it.
It's yeah, don't worry about it. It's okay. And yeah, that's about it. Now, for me to give you a full grade, I would need to also see the website and how you talk to the stakeholders, how you communicate, the copy text and whatnot. But for the product itself, it's a very good thing. I'd give you a 6.5 out of 10. For me, a passing grade is 7. If you get 7, it's perfect.
All
So
right. So we are
congratulations,
almost
Andrea.
there. Almost there.
Almost there. Well,
Almost
I
there.
have to see the website. This is what I can tell based on the product.
Right, right. Unfortunately, the website is not ready yet, so I don't even want to show you the old website.
Don't
But
worry about
maybe
it.
we can do that another time.
Another time,
Yes,
season 2.
happy to.
We'll be happy to have you back. All right. All right. Well, that was the end of our podcast for today, Andrea. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Do you have any final words for our audience?
No, I wasn't prepared for that. I think that you have highlighted very well and multiple times that having a vision and a true goal is so critical and important. And I could not highlight that enough because already in just 1 year, 1 year and a half of our startup, I've been through very difficult moments for various reasons. Not money, not necessarily money, actually, not money at all, but other things. You really need to have, you really need to be driven by something big. Otherwise, you don't pass through the waters.
Exactly. Because when you're down here, the only thing which is going to help you get back up is that purpose, that dream, that
Yeah, a
fire
push.
which you have inside you.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're just going to stay here and probably just go take photos of birds like we've learned in the story earlier.
yeah, no photos of birds.
But yes. Well, this was the end of our episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in this episode of Intentionally FinTech. This has been Andrea from Tocash or Tucash, as the English people say it. Make sure you tune into the other episodes, see the other founders' stories, their products, and whether they passed the Celery test or not. But I've been your host today, Michael Phillips, and make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye, everyone.